My fiancé cheated with a rich colleague because he could give her the life she deserves and told me straight up that I was incapable of providing it. My name's Fernando, and this is how the woman I was ready to spend my forever with decided to trade our forever for a fistful of designer labels and a guy who probably used $100 bills as Kleenex. And yeah, it all blew up in a way that even Hollywood couldn't script. It all started, or maybe I should say the unraveling started, with a goddamn handbag. A ridiculously expensive, A-list celebrity kind of handbag that Isabella, I often call her Izzy, my fiancée, suddenly started sporting. Now Izzy was beautiful, smart, ambitious as hell. She worked in marketing for this up-and-coming tech firm, a place full of sharp minds and even sharper dressers. I was a graphic designer, freelancing mostly, making decent money, enough for us to be comfortable, saving up for the wedding, the down payment on a little starter home. We weren't rolling in it, but we were happy, or so I thought. This handbag, though, it was out of place, like a diamond tiara on a Tuesday morning grocery run. Wow, I said, trying to sound casual when she waltzed in with it one evening. That's new. And fancy. She just shrugged, a little too nonchalantly. Oh, this old thing? Just a little treat for myself. Landed a big account at work, you know. A little treat? That little treat probably cost more than my last 3 freelance gigs combined. But I let it go. She worked hard. She deserved to spoil herself, right? That's what I told myself. The first little lie I swallowed. Then came the other little treats. New shoes that cost a fortune, a watch that looked like it belonged in a bank vault, weekend spa trips she'd vaguely mentioned were work perks or networking opportunities. Our cozy nights and watching movies were replaced by her late nights at the office or client dinners. She was always immaculately dressed, even for a quick coffee run, her phone always buzzing with messages she'd glance at and then quickly tuck away with a secretive smile. The Izzy I knew, the one who loved a good R-rated comedy and a cheap pizza, the one who'd laugh until she snorted, was slowly being replaced by this polished, distant stranger. The intimacy, the easy laughter, the shared dreams, they were fading, like an old photograph left out in the sun. I tried to talk to her about it. What's going on? I'd ask. You seem different lately. Different how, Nando? She'd reply, her voice cool, a little impatient. I'm just focused on my career. Is that a problem? No, of course not, I'd say. But we barely see each other anymore. And when we do, you're always somewhere else. She'd sigh, that exasperated sigh that was becoming all too familiar. I'm busy, Nando. This is a crucial time for me at work. You should be supportive. Supportive. Right. Supportive of what, exactly? Her transformation into someone I barely recognized? The real red flag, the one I should have paid more attention to, was when she started talking about this guy at her office. Marcus Thorne. He was one of the senior partners, apparently. Wealthy, powerful, a real mover and shaker in the tech world. She'd drop his name into conversations, always with a casual air that felt anything but. Marcus thinks my presentation on the new campaign was brilliant. Marcus took the whole team out to that new Michelin star restaurant last night. You should have seen the place, Nando. Marcus said I have a real future in this industry. He sees a lot of potential in me. Marcus, Marcus, Marcus. It was like a goddamn mantra. I tried to be the cool, understanding fiancé. Sounds like a good mentor, I'd say, even though a little worm of unease was starting to wriggle in my gut. Oh, he is, she'd say, her eyes a little too bright. He's incredibly smart. And so sophisticated. Sophisticated. Unlike me, her freelance graphic designer fiancé, who was currently wearing a paint-splattered t-shirt and worrying about how to pay for the damn wedding invitations. My best friend, Leo, he saw it before I did. Or maybe I just didn't want to see it. Leo and I, we go way back. High school, college, the whole shebang. He's the pragmatic one, the no-bullshit guy. He'd recently started working at the same tech firm as Izzy, in their IT department. I'd actually helped him get the interview. Small world, right? Or maybe, in retrospect, a catastrophically small world. Dude, Leo said to me one night over beers, you need to watch out for that Thorne guy. Marcus, I said, trying to sound unconcerned. What about him? He's all over Izzy, man. Like a cheap suit. Always finding excuses to talk to her, mentoring her, taking her out for business lunches that last 3 hours. A cold knot formed in my stomach. She's just ambitious, Leo. He's helping her career. Leo snorted. Helping her career into his bed, more like. The guy's a shark, Nando. And Izzy, she's impressed by all the flash. The money, the power. I see it in her eyes when he's around. I wanted to punch him. Not because I thought he was lying, but because a terrifying part of me suspected he was right. But I couldn't admit it. Not yet. You're wrong, I said, maybe a little too forcefully. Izzy loves me. We're getting married. Leo just shook his head. I hope I am wrong, Nando. For your sake, I really do. But keep your eyes open, okay? I tried. God, I tried to keep my eyes open. But it's hard to see clearly when you're blinded by love, by hope, by the desperate desire for everything to just be okay. The wedding plans continued, a surreal counterpoint to the growing chasm between us. We picked out flowers, tasted cakes, argued over guest lists. Or rather, I tried to engage, and Izzy would offer vague, distracted opinions, her mind clearly elsewhere. The distance between us grew. The late nights became more frequent, the excuses more elaborate. The physical intimacy, once so passionate and easy, became perfunctory, forced. There were times I'd reach for her in bed, and she'd flinch or pretend to be asleep. It was like sleeping next to a beautiful, cold statue. Then came the text message, the one that blew my world apart. I was working late on a deadline, fueled by lukewarm coffee and a growing sense of dread. My phone buzzed. It was Leo. Leo, dude, you need to see this. Brace yourself. Attached was a photo, grainy, obviously taken in haste, through a slightly ajar office door. But the figures inside were unmistakable. Isabella, my Isabella, and Marcus Thorne. They weren't just talking. He was leaning over her desk, his hand on her shoulder, his face close to hers. And she was looking up at him, her head tilted, a smile on her face, a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. It was intimate, devastatingly intimate. The world tilted. The air rushed out of my lungs. I couldn't breathe. I stared at the photo, my hands shaking, a roaring in my ears. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion, except I was the one behind the wheel, and I hadn't even seen it coming. Another text from Leo. Leo, in his office. After hours. Door was almost closed. Sorry, man. Thought you needed to know. Needed to know. Yeah, I needed to know that my entire life, my future, was a goddamn lie. I don't remember driving to her office. I just remember the rage, a white-hot, blinding rage, mixed with a grief so profound it felt like a physical weight on my chest. I stormed into the building, past the bewildered security guard, up to her floor. His office was dark. Her office was empty. I went to our apartment. She wasn't there. I called her phone. Straight to voicemail. I waited, pacing, my mind a maelstrom of betrayal, of remembered moments now tainted, of a future that had just been irrevocably shattered. She finally came home, hours later, around 2 a.m. She looked flushed, her hair slightly mussed, that expensive handbag clutched in her hand like a trophy. Nando, she said, feigning surprise when she saw me, though her eyes darted around nervously. What are you doing up? I thought you'd be asleep. Where were you, Izzy? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. Oh, just a late client meeting, she said, a little too quickly. It ran super late. You know how it is. A client meeting? At 2 a.m.? With Marcus Thorne? The color drained from her face. Her hand tightened on her handbag. What are you talking about? I showed her the photo on my phone. Her eyes widened. For a second, just a second, I saw a flicker of something in them. Guilt? Remorse? But it was gone as quickly as it appeared, replaced by a chillingly cool composure. She sighed, a long, weary sigh, as if I were the one inconveniencing her. All right, Nando, she said, her voice devoid of any emotion. So you know, does it really matter? Does it really matter? The woman I was about to marry, the woman I had built my life around, was screwing her rich boss, and she was asking me if it mattered? Matter. I choked out, the rage threatening to consume me. Of course, it goddamn matters, Izzy. We're engaged. We're supposed to be getting married in 3 months. She actually had the audacity to roll her eyes. Oh, Nando, don't be so dramatic. Let's be realistic here. Realistic? I felt like I was losing my mind. What's realistic about this, Izzy? About you, and him, and in this. I gestured wildly at her, at the handbag, at the whole damn charade. And then she dropped the bomb. The words that would echo in my nightmares for years to come. Nando, she said, her voice as cold and hard as a block of ice. Let's be honest. You can't give me the life I want. The life I deserve. I stared at her, dumbfounded. The life you deserve? What the hell does that even mean? It means this, she said, holding up the designer handbag. It means nice things. It means security. It means not having to worry about freelance gigs and saving up for a down payment on some tiny little starter home in the suburbs. Each word was a hammer blow. Marcus. Marcus can give me that. Nando. He understands ambition. He understands what it takes to get ahead. You're sweet, Nando. You're a good man. But well, you're just not enough. Not enough. The words hung in the air between us. Heavy, suffocating. I had loved this woman. I had given her everything I had. My heart, my soul, my dreams. And in return, she was telling me I wasn't enough. That my love, my loyalty, my hard work, it all paled in comparison to a fat bank account and a fancy lifestyle. So what? I finally managed, my voice hoarse. You're throwing us away? For him? For money? She shrugged, a small, indifferent gesture that cut me deeper than any shout. It's not just about the money, Nando. It's about a certain kind of life. A life you can't provide. I'm sorry if that hurts you, but it's the truth. Sorry if it hurts me? She had just ripped my heart out, stomped on it, and then casually tossed it in the goddamn trash. And she was sorry if it hurt me? So the wedding's off, I take it? I said, a bitter, hollow laugh escaping my lips. Obviously, she said, as if it were the most logical thing in the world. I'll handle the cancellations. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I just stared at her. This beautiful stranger who had once been the love of my life. There was nothing left to say, nothing left to fight for. She had made her choice. And her choice wasn't me. I walked out. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't take anything. I just walked out of the apartment we had shared, the apartment filled with our memories, our laughter, our plans for a future that now lay in ruins. I walked out into the cold, pre-dawn city, a broken man, with nothing but the clothes on my back and a gaping, bleeding wound where my heart used to be. The next few months were a blur. I moved in with Leo temporarily. He was a rock, a true friend. He didn't say, I told you so, though he had every right to. He just listened, let me rage, let me grieve. He helped me find a new apartment, a tiny, soulless place that matched the emptiness inside me. Canceling the wedding, telling our friends and family. It was a fresh wave of humiliation with every phone call, every awkward conversation. Izzy, true to her word, handled most of it, with a chilling efficiency that made it clear she had already moved on. I heard through the grapevine that she and Marcus Thorne were now officially an item. They were seen at all the trendy restaurants, the exclusive parties. She was living the high life, the life she deserved. And I was just trying to survive, one day at a time. I threw myself into my work. It was the only thing that kept me sane. Long hours, complex projects, anything to keep my mind from replaying her words, her casual dismissal of our love, of me. You're just not enough. That phrase became my own personal hell, a constant, taunting echo in the silence of my empty apartment. Time, they say, heals all wounds. It's a lie. Time just dulls the pain, scabs over the wound, leaves a scar that throbs with a phantom ache whenever you least expect it. Months turned into a year, then two. I slowly, painstakingly, started to rebuild. I focused on my career. My freelance work picked up. I started to make a name for myself. I even started dating again, cautiously, tentatively. But the ghost of Izzy, the ghost of her betrayal, always loomed large. Trust was a fragile thing, easily shattered, and mine was in a million goddamn pieces. Then, one rainy Tuesday afternoon, about 3 years after the end, my phone rang. An unfamiliar number. I almost didn't answer it. Hello? Nando. The voice. I would have known it anywhere. Thinner, maybe. A little frayed around the edges. But unmistakably hers. Isabella. My heart lurched. My palms started to sweat. Why was she calling me? After all this time? Izzy, I said, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. Hi, she said, a nervous little laugh. It's been a while. A while. It had been a lifetime. What do you want, Izzy? I asked, trying to keep my voice even, betraying none of the turmoil churning inside me. There was a pause. I could hear her take a shaky breath. Nando, I made a mistake. A terrible, terrible mistake. Here we go, I thought. The mea culpa. A little late, wouldn't you say? Oh, I said, my voice dripping with a sarcasm I couldn't quite control. You don't say. Please, Nando, don't be like that, she pleaded. I need to talk to you. Can we meet? Meet? After she'd ripped my life apart and walked away without a backward glance. The audacity. I don't think that's a good idea, Izzy, I said. Please, she begged, her voice cracking. Just for a coffee. I need to explain. I need you to understand. Understand what? That she was a cold, calculating, materialistic bitch who had traded love for luxury? Oh, I understood that perfectly. But a morbid curiosity, a tiny, masochistic part of me, wanted to see her. Wanted to see what had become of the woman who had shattered my world. Fine, I said. One coffee. Tomorrow. That little cafe on Elm Street. 2 p.m. Thank you, Nando, she whispered. Thank you. She was waiting for me when I arrived. And God, she looked different. The designer clothes were still there, but they looked worn, tired, like they were trying too hard. Her hair, once so vibrant, was dull. There were dark circles under her eyes, lines of stress etched around her mouth that hadn't been there before. The confident, radiant woman who had walked out on me was gone, replaced by this faded, anxious version. She stood up when she saw me, a nervous, hopeful smile on her face. Nando, she said, her voice a little breathless. Thank you for coming. I just nodded, sat down. The silence stretched, awkward, heavy. So, I said finally, you wanted to explain. She took a deep breath, and then it all came pouring out. Marcus Thorne, the man she had thrown me over for, the man who was supposed to give her the life she deserved, had turned out to be, well, exactly the kind of asshole you'd expect. At first, it had been exciting. The money, the parties, the travel. She had lapped it up, reveled in it. She'd spent lavishly, racking up huge credit card bills, convinced that Marcus would always be there to foot the bill. He was rich, after all. What was a few thousand here and there to him? But Marcus, it turned out, had a short attention span and a wandering eye. Once the novelty of his new trophy wore off, once he realized that Izzy, for all her ambition, wasn't quite as pliant, as mindlessly adoring as he preferred his women to be, he started to lose interest. He became distant, critical. He'd belittle her in front of his friends, make cutting remarks about her intelligence, her background. The lavish gifts stopped. The romantic dinners were replaced by curt text messages and unexplained absences. And then, one day he just ended it, told her he was bored, that she was too much work, kicked her out of the fancy apartment he'd been letting her live in, cut off her access to his credit cards, and moved on to his next conquest, a younger, blonder, more manageable model. Just like that. Discarded. Like last season's handbag. Izzy, who had burned all her bridges, who had alienated her old friends, who had based her entire self-worth on this man and the lifestyle he provided, was left with nothing. Nothing but a mountain of debt from her uncontrolled spending, a shattered ego, and the bitter, bitter taste of regret. She tried to get back on her feet, tried to find another high-flying job in marketing. But the tech world is small. Word gets around. Her reputation, as Marcus Thorne's discarded plaything, preceded her. No one wanted to hire her. She was broke, desperate, alone. Tears were streaming down her face as she told me all this, her voice choked with sobs. I was so stupid, Nando, she cried. So greedy, so blind. I had everything with you. Love, happiness, a real future. And I threw it all away for nothing. For shiny, empty things. I listened, my face impassive, though inside, a storm of emotions was raging. Pity, yes. It was hard not to feel pity for the broken woman sitting across from me, but also a cold, hard anger. An anger that had been simmering for 3 long years. And now, I said, when she finally fell silent, exhausted by her own tears. What do you want from me, Izzy? She looked up at me, her eyes red-rimmed, filled with a desperate, pleading hope. Nando, I still love you, she whispered. I never stopped loving you. I was just lost, confused. I know I don't deserve it, but can you ever forgive me? Can we try again? Try again? I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw not the vibrant, laughing woman I had once loved, but a hollow shell, a cautionary tale of greed and regret. And I thought of all the sleepless nights, all the pain, all the rebuilding I had had to do. all because of her choices. No, Izzy, I said, my voice quiet but firm. We can't. Her face crumpled. But why not? I've learned my lesson, Nando. I swear. I'll never make that mistake again. I just want you back. You don't want me back, Izzy, I said. You want a lifeline. You're drowning in the mess you made, and you're looking for someone to pull you out. And maybe, just maybe, you think that by coming back to me, you can somehow erase the past, pretend it never happened. No, that's not true, she insisted. I love you, Nando. I realize that now, more than ever. Do you? I said, a humorless smile touching my lips. Or do you just realize that the grass wasn't greener on the other side? That all those shiny things you chased turn out to be fool's gold? I leaned forward, my voice dropping to a low, intense whisper. You told me I wasn't enough, Izzy. You told me I couldn't give you the life you deserved. And you know what? Maybe you were right. Maybe I couldn't give you a life filled with designer handbags and Michelin star restaurants and men who treat you like an accessory. Because that's not the kind of life I value. I value honesty, Izzy, loyalty, love, the things you so easily discarded. She was openly sobbing now, her shoulders shaking. I made a mistake, Nando. A horrible mistake. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive me? Forgiveness, Izzy, I said, standing up, is a complicated thing. Maybe, someday, I'll be able to forgive you. For my own sake, so I can finally let go of all this bitterness. But trying again? Going back? That's not forgiveness, Izzy. That's just foolishness. And I've had enough of being a fool for one lifetime. I put a $10 bill on the table, enough to cover her coffee. Goodbye, Izzy, I said. And I walked away. I didn't look back. It wasn't a triumphant exit. There was no sense of victory, no smug satisfaction. Just a profound, weary sadness. A sadness for the love we had lost, for the dreams that had died, for the woman she had become, and for the man her choices had forced me to be. Did I do the right thing? I don't know. Maybe a better man, a more compassionate man, would have given her a second chance. But I couldn't. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. And without trust, what is there? Life goes on. I'm still building my career, still moving forward. The scar is still there, a permanent reminder. But it doesn't hurt as much anymore. Sometimes, I even forget it's there. And Izzy? I don't know what happened to her. I never heard from her again. I hope she found some measure of peace, some way to rebuild her own life. But her choices were her own, and so were the consequences. As for me, I learned a hard lesson, a very hard lesson, that sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who can hurt you the deepest, and that sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, no matter how much you want to believe in second chances, some things are just broken, irreparably broken. And all you can do is pick up the pieces of your own life and try to build something new, something stronger, something that can withstand the storms. Because the storms will always come. You just have to be ready to face them. Alone, if you have to.